Hey there, this is Nerd Guy. I kind of wanted to do a different type of video today. Been feeling kind of down today in the past few days, and I feel like sometimes it's good to just kind of talk out your issues, so that's what I intend to do right now. As the title of the video implies, my mom is in prison. That's not directly why I'm upset right now. It's just a big part of my life. I'm just gonna explain kind of what happened there. It happened when I was about 10 years old, so I've had a lot of time to adjust and not be too upset by it anymore. For that reason, probably not gonna start crying or anything telling you guys the story, but regardless, it's some real shit. Basically, when I was about 10 years old, I left school and my dad came to pick me up instead of my mom, I believe, was supposed to pick me up. They were divorced at the time, and my mom had remarried. So my dad picks me up, takes me to kind of a quiet place by the park that was nearby my school, and he just sits me down and tells me, your stepdad is missing. We don't know where he is. We don't know what's going on right now, but you know, don't worry, don't freak out. I'm sure he's fine, kind of thing. And as much as I hate to admit it, I was an asshole to my stepdad. Like, he was a super nice guy, but my, 7-8-year-old self was just like, oh, this motherfucker's trying to take the place of my dad. I don't think so. And I just gave him hell for it, and it was really unfair. So when I heard the news, I was kind of like, okay, I don't really know how to feel about that. I really didn't read into it too much. I figured they were right. We'd find him in a day or two, or he'd come back that night or something. Like, it can't be that bad. But it was that bad. He was found maybe 2 days later. He was murdered in his car, seemingly on his way to work, and it happened to be in my uncle's trailer park where they found his car and his body. And my uncle notoriously was a methamphetamine user, a liar, just overall wasn't the greatest dude. So he was immediately suspected right off the bat that he's probably the one that killed him, because he was also publicly not cool with my stepdad. They had a lot of issues with each other. But before I even had time to process that, my mom was immediately accused of being the one to murder him. And I just remember as a kid, I genuinely just didn't understand. I was like, why? Why would she be thought of that way? She loved him. She was super sweet to him all the time. There was no reason she would want to kill him. It just didn't make any sense to me, and it still honestly doesn't. But regardless of that, the trial went ahead, and after like 2 years, all of which I was being kept in the dark because I was young and my family didn't want me to have to deal with all that stuff. But finally, after a long time, all of which my mom was on house arrest, and there were trials every other week, and it was news coverage and this and that, and it was a pretty crazy portion of my life, and my mother's, obviously. They finally sentenced her guilty to about a 41-year sentence, something like that, but I believe it got doubled, so it was pretty much just a life sentence at that point. And that was only after they offered her a plea bargain, basically saying, we're gonna find you guilty and give you the death sentence unless you plead guilty, in which case we'll give you, this shortened sentence, which wasn't very shortened at all, because she'd be like 85 years old when she got out. I mean, I could go on and on about how the justice system is a piece of shit and doesn't fucking work and is completely rigged, but I'll save that for maybe another video. But yeah, she was sentenced her time, and was then transferred to a jail that she stayed in for about, I think maybe like another year or two. It was a long time. And the only way I could visit her at the jail was to actually drive downtown to the jail, obviously. But then when you got there, you would sign in, and then they take you to a computer monitor where you'd pick up a phone and then you'd start talking to the inmate. In this case, it was my mom. and it would just be through this computer bullshit. And genuinely, as sad as it may look in movies and TV shows when like the mom and son put their hands up on the glass when they say goodbye to each other, that shit's real. And when it's just through a computer monitor, like, I left a lot of those visits just sobbing, just wanting to be able to hug my mom, and I fucking couldn't. And I don't say this to garner pity or anything, I want to make that clear. I'm just saying this is what happens when people go to prison. It's not as cut and dry as, oh, they're gone, it's so sad. Like, no, it's an ongoing tormenting process for everyone involved. Finally, she was transferred to the prison, and I had to wait about 6 or 7 months for the papers to go through for me to be approved to actually go and visit her. They take their sweet time on that shit. But finally, I was approved to go, so my dad took me. You actually get to meet in person across the table from each other. You can hold hands every once in a while, or a quick hug in and a quick hug out. It's still not what you want, but it's more than what I had before. And I just kind of kept on visiting her every week for like 4 or 5 years. And then when I started getting older, it turned into like every other week. And here recently, it's been like every other month because I've just been so busy with work and all kinds of stuff. And in some ways, it does get harder as time goes by because, like I said, the visits are becoming less and less frequent. I'm going to be moving soon, so I'm not going to be seeing her much at all. It'll all be just writing letters to each other and calling. And there are definitely days I just want my mom to be here so we can go hang out or go see a movie, something. Like, she wasn't able to be there for my graduation from high school or college. She's not going to be able to be there when I finally decide to get married or get a house or any of this shit. And sometimes it wears thin. It hurts a little bit, especially considering the fact that if you look through her trial, if you guys want to look it up, her name is Suzanne Carno. The trial happened in 2004, Las Vegas, Nevada. But if you look at it, it's all anecdotal evidence. It's all bullshit. It's all my stepdad's family saying my mom was weird and they didn't like her and she said weird shit and she did weird shit. But how does doing weird shit and saying weird shit equate to murder? They never found any physical evidence linking her to the crime, so they assume she must have been the mastermind behind it all who got my uncle to do it for her. Like I said, just take a look if you want. Maybe it's just because I'm her son and I'm totally biased on the decision, but I genuinely believe my mom was innocent and was sentenced to life in prison. But like I said, it could just be me being biased. I mean, who knows? Maybe she did, but I don't think she did. And besides any of that, you still have the fact that through this experience, I've gotten to see what the prison system actually does to people. The purpose of it is to rehabilitate criminals to go back into society. That's the point of prison and jail. And that is exactly what it doesn't do. The prison community and the way it all goes down, it makes it nearly impossible for previous inmates who have now been released into society to live a legal lifestyle. It becomes nearly impossible to find a job. You can't vote. Any rights you had to your children are pretty much stripped away from you. It's even difficult to find a fucking place to live because they won't let a lot of people who have been convicted of serious crimes have certain apartments or houses. Because of all this, what do they have to do but sell drugs or do something illegal so they can get some money to fucking survive? And then they get caught again, go back to prison, and on it goes. This video definitely was meant to kind of just be me venting some feelings, and then it turned into like a little pity party, and I didn't want it to be a pity party, so now it's like a social justice video, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. But I do think it's something to think about. A lot of us know that there's a problem with our prison system, but nobody ever does anything about it because it doesn't personally affect them, and I understand that. I don't personally try to fund like burn victims campaigns and stuff because it doesn't personally affect me. So I mean, I understand, but still, the prison system, the prison population is out of control, and the actual system isn't doing anything to help or rehabilitate anybody. It just makes the problems worse and therefore perpetuating this ongoing problem. So it's just some food for thought, you know. Take that for what you will. Again, there was no real reason for me to make this video. It's just something I kind of wanted to talk about and bring to light. If anybody who happens to watch this has anything to add to the conversation or just any kind of comment, whatever, feel free to voice your opinions. I'd love to hear it. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble on and on.